Hey everyone, it's Alex from Raddtitan, and we've got a guest today, so we've got Paul here. And what we're doing is we're going to do a little video. We're doing some CGC videos. I've been doing like the unboxings and going through the pieces that we've got. But we just got a good batch back, which have been pressed by an individual person who outside of CGC, pressed by CGC, re-slabbed, cross-graded through other companies and whatever else. So we're just going to go through all of those things at the moment and just discuss them, just to let new collectors know what we went through.
So some of the options available as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Would you like me to start?
No, we're going to come back. Hold
okay.
on. So
I'm getting very excited here.
Yeah. All right, keep watching, guys.
See you in a minute.
All right, guys, so we're back, and as you can see, Paul's quite excited.
Oh, I can't wait.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the different things. We actually got them in 4 little piles. It was actually the ones we just did the unboxing for, pretty much all of them.
Yep.
So we have a pile which were cracked, a pile which were another company's slabs which are re-slabbed. We have a pile which were cracked by CGC, opened by CGC and pressed and redone. And then we have another one which were pressed by somebody, an individual outside. So we're going to go through those as we go. So with the cracked comics, so these are the ones which I had before, these two here. And CGC comics are pretty fragile, the cases. If you were to bump them, it doesn't really take much to crack them, unfortunately.
Surprisingly as well, because they do look quite durable and they do feel quite durable, but yeah, just sadly they can crack quite easily. They
crack really easy. I just had a delivery of 4 comics and 3 of them were cracked, where literally you could tell that the case had just been dropped on one side and they're all cracked in exactly the same part of it. But so basically these were both 9.8s before. I got them redone. I think it was about £15, which again, we pay the pound price, which is the same in dollars. So it'll be $15 plus the tier fee, which they add on, which I think is like $12 or £12.
The reason why it's not more is because they don't even regrade it. They take the information from the top and just put the comic into the revised slab.
That's as long as the comic can't be taken out. With this one, it was cracked across the whole back, pretty much there, all the way across. And if you really wanted to, I think you could have taken the comic out, but I think they would have known if it was taken out. So they just re-slabbed this. Otherwise, you would have to pay
to have it regraded.
To have regraded, yeah. But these ones just, again, taken out, put back in, and that's why it was cheap.
Yeah, and I'm one of the people at the moment that's kind of going through a stage where I've got some of the older CGC cases and I'm looking to update them into the newer cases. So some people just like to have that option as well, depending on how anal you are with your collection.
Yeah, but then in 5 years' time, when they release another case, you're fucked.
Well, there's talk about now that they're going to offer the Marvel logo at the top. I don't know if you read that recently. So there's talk of that.
That's something different.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's because they do that with Walking Dead.
Right. Yeah.
Basically, if you sorry,
we're just diverging slightly. Oh, sorry. Okay.
with the Walking Dead one, if you get any Walking Dead done, which I had #1 and a couple of hundreds, you can have a special Walking Dead label, but you pay £5 extra and you get it done. But then you have to pay. The reason why I didn't get it done was, again, you have to pay the tier fee. So you pay to get it graded as a modern, then you pay the £5 to get it done as the Walking Dead label, and then you pay the tier fee because there's another tier.
Oh, is there? Oh, geez.
Because it would have cost me £17 just to get this other label.
Oh, well, I was a bit of a fool because I did that for a Stan Lee comic, but I've got the Stan Lee exclusive edition at the top of it, which is quite cool.
If you're doing it through a company, then the tier fee.
They take that, okay. And there's some with the Stan Lee logos just being normal, like a kind of grey looking, and then there's one that's got his signature in red, and that means it was done at a convention or as he signs most of his books.
Again, you can get that done if you have the Stan Lee ones and you get them redone. But you have to pay the extra.
Yeah, I'll probably be paying a premium for that as well, because I'll be changing all my old cases into new cases.
So there's that. And then the next ones were, these ones were comics. Obviously there are several companies that do the the gradings. So there are CGC, which are the kind of market leader at the moment. There's CBCS, which I think was set up by a couple of members who were working with CGC and they went across. CBCS, they've had a bit of an up and a down with reputation, but I think their reputation now is pretty good, and their grading is meant to be a bit more strict compared to CGC. So when I got these ones done, these were the CBCS grades, and they came back as exactly the same grade that CBCS done. So CGC done them as the same, which was nice, because I was told that this one would come back as like a 5 or something. If you then have the other company, which is PGX, yeah, that's meant to be the bad news one to get done. So this is PGX, and these ones are meant to be a bit too lenient. So I bought this one in a bit more. I'm going to get this redone.
Yeah,
and,
definitely. And do you know what's interesting as well, that they've got the tape, and now CGC put the grading on the top within the actual slab itself, but that's starting to come away, and that's what they used to have on the old ones as well.
Where the label was on the outside, the person who sent this to me wrapped it really well, but unfortunately the plastic they wrapped it in got caught onto the label, so it's all been pulled off like that. I will be getting this redone anyway, but I'm worried now this is going to come back as like a 7, because if you look at that top there,
I'd give it a 4.
It's
quite fitting with your usual grace that you get back, isn't it?
I keep doing that. But so yeah, that's basically then getting the reslab done for another company, the cross gradings. And as I said, at the moment, they have a deal on at the moment where it's half price to get the regradings done, and they do actually take them out. Apparently they do regrade them and they do recheck them and then put them back in. So I had these done, so I was very lucky to get the actual grade I had.
Yeah, did well to get a conversion.
Definitely not getting it with her. And then we got your ones. So
yeah, so firstly, this is a CGC book that I did have with CGC in the old case originally, and I decided, like I said, I'm kind of going through the collection now and trying to move them all to the new cases, which is going to cost a small fortune in time, but I'm being quite particular, so it kind of keeps my collection quite straight and narrow. But I asked them to, when they re-slabbed it, I asked them to press it and then regrade it. So originally it was a 7.0 and it's come back as a 7.5. I thought it was a good book anyway to begin with, so I'm not surprised it only went up by 0.5. In an ideal world, I would have broke into an 8, which would have been lovely, but the 7.5 itself, like I said, the book to begin with was quite nice. It may have been pressed before. I bought it off of eBay, and this was before I knew about pressing, so it could have been pressed by the previous owner. But yeah, really happy with the comic itself. And the only thing is that we got a slight little bit of plastic, it seems to be. You can't really see it there, but just a little shard of plastic that's made its way there. I don't know how anal I'm going to be in terms of getting it regraded or like re-slabbed again, but it doesn't affect me too much. I don't know if I'm going to lose sleep over it tonight.
Well, if you want, I can email them and find out.
But possibly.
Yeah.
They do it for free, because I remember having a fat case for a slimline book, and they just changed it into the slimline case.
Come on, man, your OCD's bad.
Just a little bit.
I thought George was bad. But yeah, that would actually bother me.
Yeah, well, there you go. So if it bothers Alex, then I might as well. But yeah, that went from a 7.0 to a 7.5. So quite happy with that. But I wasn't expecting that much of a jump. And then secondly, I've got another book that was once again in the old CGC case that I've then had pressed and graded again. And that was from an 8.5 to a 9.2. So did well there. Really happy with that as a grade. I once again wanted to break into the 9s in terms of having a number 300, Spiderman 300. So really happy with that as a grade to go up to grade levels. So for people that don't know, when you do break into the 9s, it then goes 9.2, 9.4, 9.6, 9.8, 9.9, and then your 10. And I've seen a few Batman Damned. I don't know if
Damned is the only one I've seen.
Yeah, there's some 10s coming about with that. So 9.9s and 10s, but really rare. And sometimes people just have like a bog standard comic that comes back as a 9.9, and then it's suddenly worth hundreds of pounds because it's worth a 9.9.
Yeah.
And you can go into the census and see how many of those comics are available. But yeah, 9.2, really happy with that to break into the 9s.
Ain't that accurate though. When I spoke to them, again, we're going over the place. When you look at the census about Hulk 181, because that's a comic I really want at the moment.
You haven't mentioned that.
When you look at the Hulk 181, basically I think there's 13,000 that have been graded.
Bloody hell.
When you speak to CGC about that and you say, look, you know, this book has so many graded, but it's still worth a hell of a lot of money. And they say, well, actually, probably like 1/5, 1/4 of those could actually be where people have cracked them, pressed them, and resent them in. But we don't know that, so it still shows up on the actual registry as that one still being live. Unfortunate.
Yeah. So
but you did well on that one to get that regraded. I mean, both of them again. You had them pressed and re-slabbed by CGC.
By CGC.
You got up 1 mark. You got up 2 there. So
yeah, you know, quite happy with it. I was kind of umming and ahhing whether or not just to get them re-slabbed, but I thought when they're cracked out, you might as well.
The 300 going up by 2 was paid for both of them.
Yeah. And that being said, a 7 to a 7.5, just because the book's so rare. Had it been a less rare book, you know, maybe it might not have been worth it. But even that's probably boosted up by about £40 or something like that if I were to sell it. I mean, I buy to collect and keep, so it's not a case of that. And then our last 3 comics.
I buy when I'm drunk.
Oh yeah. Well, I also do that as well. Funny enough, that the number 50 I bought when I was drunk in Cambodia after a heavy night, and I got into a bidding war. I don't know what time it was in the UK, but no doubt it's probably like a Sunday evening in the UK, and it was whatever o'clock in Cambodia. So yeah.
Tubing.
That's Lao. So I went to a bar. I think it was called Volcano Bar. Any bar named after a natural disaster. So if you had a bar called Tsunami Bar, you know it's going to kick off. Anyway, keep going off task. Yeah. Moving on, I've then through the comic book collecting forums, I've then heard people put recommendations out, and I came across a chap called James Gower. He's a Liverpool fan for all his faults, but nonetheless, he's fantastic in terms of pressing. So, firstly, I bought this comic.
Is he called Comic Medic?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I know that you've used him, and the comic we're going to get onto over there, he did a ridiculous job on. Really good. Also, Johnny Meddins has used him, and Johnny Meddins was happy about it. And I think Johnny, if I'm not wrong, I think Johnny pressed some of his own stuff. And he's from Birmingham, and he's a bit cheap as well. So he was saying how good James was.
I can't recommend him enough. I can't recommend it. And not just the actual quality of his work, his communication is excellent. So he takes photos of your comic beforehand. He gives you an idea, gives it like a pre-assessment, says what he can do, and then asks you for the go-ahead. And then afterwards you get multiple images back. But his communication is flawless, and for the price, I think it's about £12.50 a book at the moment.
£12.50 plus shipping.
Yeah, I mean, really, he should charge more, because actually
don't say that.
Sorry. Yeah, he should charge less if you buy multiple copies. But it's a flawless service as well, because CGC is actually more expensive. I can't remember what that was. I think that was about £17 or so. I can't off the top of my.
I charged you.
Possibly.
Yeah. No, I did, because I think the stuff come back. I think it was
actually get a big bill after this.
No, I think it was. I think it was about £25.
Was it? Right, okay. Yeah. So
I think to be regraded and to be pressed, I think that one, because it was a classic.
Yeah, possibly more.
That one was, I think, £56.
There's so many different tiers to CGC. The older the book and the more fragile it is. I think that when you get to press an Amazing Fantasy number 15, because it's so fragile, they charge hundreds of pounds. Even grading it, I think they charge quite a lot, just because they're so careful turning the pages and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, the tier stuff, I mean...
Yeah. It's a minefield.
I can't make sense of it.
No. So I bought this book, just once again trying to collect as many first appearances as possible. Really happy with the grade. Well, actually over the moon with the grade, a 6.0. I was expecting about a 5. Sent it off to James. Just real nice clean press, made sure the book was all flat, make sure the staples are all in line as well, which is it's a big key feature when they do grade as well. So that was the first one that I got back. So I was quite surprised that I got a 6.0 for it, because I was expecting lower. Yeah. I also have an Amazing Spider-Man number 1, sadly not the original copy. It's a golden record reprint. But once again, just send it off because I was sending James a few books. I thought I'd throw this in the mix as well. I kind of wasn't, because I'd focused more so on the other books. I wasn't too fussed about how that came back, but he really enjoyed working on that, said that he got out quite a lot of creases as well. Once again, like I said, he shows you pictures before and after, but it's came back really flat, and an 8.5 for a book that's from 1966 is really, really clean. And like I said, just pressing it in a way that the staples were in a real good position as well. So the man takes a lot of time and effort and makes sure that it comes out as a tip-top copy. So that kind of caught me off guard, and the reason why it caught me off guard is because I was kind of more focused on the first appearance of the Rhino, and also
I mean, considering it's 8.5, they're still, I mean, they are a lot more lenient
with the older books.
With the older books, yeah. But I mean, there are like creases along here, a little crease there on the Human Torch, but I mean, 8.5 is fantastic.
Yeah. And I think that obviously just sometimes if you're a bit hesitant, if you do have an older book, you can make a lot more money off older books if you get them pressed and get the grade up there. So I bought that for around £200, sent it off getting it pressed and graded, and it's probably close to about £700-800 now. It's a bit of a funny market for the golden record reprints, but for people that like myself who can't get their hands on Amazing or can't afford to buy Amazing Fantasy #1, it's a nice copy to have. And then finally, this was the reason why I wasn't kind of as focused on the Amazing Spider-Man #1 was because I was actually really focused on my Punisher, which is the very first appearance of the Punisher, Amazing Spider-Man. I keep trying to say Amazing Fantasy. Well, I wish that that I could own a copy of that. But Amazing Spider-Man #129, which is the first appearance of the Punisher. I bought this on eBay, and we'll try and get a close-up picture in a moment. But
send me the pictures.
Of like the before and after shots. But it had the slightest tear in it, and it was kind of just a little bit like a triangular piece just hanging off. And I didn't know enough about CGC that when it got sent off, whether it would kind of make or break the comic. But I bought it because I couldn't afford a 6.5. At whatever cost it was going to be. So I bought this for about, I think I bought it for about £350 as being a raw copy. Sent it off to James. He said, look, it might fall off, it might not, but he gave it a real clean press, got the piece back in the place that it was supposed to be. Obviously there's still a bit of discolour, it's lost its colour with the creases, but he did an incredible job. Even when Alex took it to CGC, they commented on how clean it was.
When I spoke to them about it, I pointed out and sort of said to them, like, you know, because obviously I was dropping off these ones to be pressed anyway. I said that that James had pressed these ones, and I pointed out. They looked at it and they were just like, you know, he's done a ridiculous job. I mean, that again, we'll try and get these close-ups. I mean, if you've got the pictures James sent you, that's crazy. I mean, that piece there,
it's unnoticeable.
It literally like that. Looked like it was going to just like disintegrate if you touch it, and to get that back in place, lined up,
without affecting any of the print. So I would have been happy with a 5.0 and above, but to come back at 6.5, when Alex told me what the grade was, I was over the moon, because, you know, to buy a book for £350, and that, I think one sold for about £650 the other day, so it's a quite nice markup made. And definitely money well spent. So James has kind of boosted it. I don't know what it would have. It would have been interesting actually to see what it would have been grading, and then have that comparison. But I definitely feel that you've got a solid grade within that because of what he's done. So as I said, can't recommend the man enough. But like I said, it's the communication that's really good as well.
I'm going to be using him for. I just got a copy in of Hulk. 180, not 181.
The very first
appearance of Wolverine.
For the true believers.
The cameo, Wolverine cameo. And I've got that, so I'm going to get him to press that. I've also got several copies of Amazing Spider-Man 212 that I want to get pressed and redone. And then there's a few more that I'm going to look into. So for £12.50 plus shipping, you can't really go wrong there.
No.
And I mean, I'm blown away by that. I mean, I'm looking at that and I'm like, he's done such a ridiculous job on that. You've lucked out big time.
Oh yeah, definitely. So he's certainly earned his keep in that respect.
I've got a 7.5 of this comic. Well, I should have actually got it out, but just 7.5, I'm sure. Your colours are quite bright on here. And then my one's got like all this fucking shit going down there.
Yeah, the
all
blue
this
ink stain.
Yeah.
I always knew it was a good book, so I knew it was a good. I just didn't know how much the tear would affect it. So it's difficult because you don't know what you're going to get, and I don't know how strict they are with the criteria. But on the whole,
because oops, didn't want to drop that. Because of the way the tear is, it doesn't go through the whole cover here. If it was to go like up to here and break the whole cover,
page, yeah,
it would really significantly drop in grade. But because it's like just like a little weird hole there where it's just like a little L and it's kind of folded, it didn't break either side, like I'm broken here or here, that it doesn't affect the grade as much. So it is quite weird how it does it. And again, yeah, you've been really lucky.
Yeah, to own a 6.5 for under £400 with its current value, over the moon. So really happy with that. We've mentioned before.
I think I paid £800 for mine. £840, I think it was.
No comment. But you do roll the dice. I mean, I've had some dodgy grades sent back to me as well. So I've lucked out with the 5 books that I've got back, and previously I haven't had that, so it is luck of the draw sometimes. And as we've said before, sometimes you feel like you're onto a real good comic, and then it gets sent back and it's miles off. So you just don't know. Sometimes it is a bit of a lottery. So if you are someone that wants a specific number and you want to keep within your, let's say, I know Alex is looking at 5.5s for Fantastic Fours at the moment, then you are best to buy that specific grade online, but you do pay for those grades as well, so it's a difficulty, isn't it?
Or if you have one to grade it, and then try and do a deal on someone who's got another grade or something, because you might be able to work out quite nicely.
Yeah, you can swap some around as well. So yeah, did really well, very happy. And so I just want to show a few of the options that you can have, and just going to CGC isn't always the best bet as well. So if you do your homework, you can go around and
there's
find
a lot of guys. There's a lot
options.
of guys in America who do it as well. I know Nick, a guy called Nick Warner, he does it in America, and there's a few other people. So I mean, just ask around in the comic groups, ask people who have used people in the past for pressing, and you're bound to find someone on recommendation. So
yeah, definitely.
All right, guys, do the usual. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching. I know we kind of veered around all over the place. I used to think it was George, but
now we know it's you.
Now I know it's my fault. We went all over the place, but I hope what we did say made a bit of sense, and I hope it did sort of clear up a few things. So thanks for watching, and take care. Like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Bye.
Thanks, Paul.
Welcome, mate. That was good.
I'll take some, try and get like a good angle.
Yeah, can get some photos and attach them as well.
Get closer.
Don't get too close.